All right, let's start with a quick question. When you hear the name Toyota, what's the very first word that pops in your head? For most people, I bet it's something like reliable, right? But what if I told you that's only half the story? That the real story of Toyota is all about radical gambles and, honestly, some seriously pioneering vision. Today, we're going to peel back the layers on a company you only think you know. So check this out. This is what I like to call the Toyota paradox. On one side, you've got the perception, right? The super sensible, reliable, let's be honest, maybe even a little boring car company. But the reality, oh, the reality is something else entirely. It's a history that's just jam-packed with radical risks and truly groundbreaking moves. So how did Toyota build this empire of reliability? I mean, where did that reputation for just absolutely bulletproof cars even come from? Well, it all goes back to post-war Japan. There, a core philosophy took root that didn't just build a company, it literally created a global legend. And at the very heart of that legend is something called the Toyota Production System, or TPS. Now, you gotta understand, this wasn't just some new way to run an assembly line. No, this was a completely revolutionary philosophy. The goal? Simple but radical. Eliminate every single ounce of waste and build absolute perfection into every single step of the process. So, the whole TPS thing is built on these two pillars, and they are beautifully simple but incredibly powerful. The first is called just-in-time. Basically, it means you only make what you need exactly when you need it. No more giant warehouses full of parts just sitting around. The second pillar is Jidoka, and this one is my favorite. It's automation with a human touch. What that means is that any worker on the line has the power to stop everything, the entire production, if they see a problem. It's all about putting quality above speed every single time. Okay, so this relentless obsession with quality, it wasn't just some abstract idea inside the factory walls. Nope, it's what gave us some of the most iconic cars the world has ever seen. The cars that really define the brand and, went on to conquer the world. And what you've got was this amazing legacy of cars, each one built with such a clear purpose. You had the legendary Land Cruiser, right? I mean, this thing was built to go absolutely anywhere and survive pretty much anything. Then you had the humble Corolla, the car for everyone, built to be affordable and just run forever. And then, oh yeah, then there was the MK4 Supra, just a pure, beautiful machine built for one thing, speed. Three totally different cars, but all sharing that same DNA of incredible quality. All right, so by the time the 90s rolled around, Toyota was on top of the world. I mean, they were the undisputed kings of reliability. No one could touch them. The safe play, the easy move would have been to just keep doing exactly that. But that's not what they did. Instead, they took what I call the great hybrid gamble. And that just begs the question, right? So what does a company that became famous, that built its entire empire on being the safe choice, do for its next act? Well, it does the absolute last thing anyone would expect. It gambles. Big time. And that gamble was the Prius. Look, it's easy to forget now, but we have to remember just how revolutionary this car was. This was the world's first mass-produced hybrid. Toyota poured a colossal amount of money into a technology that, frankly, nobody was even asking for. It was this huge bet that efficiency could actually be cool. And you know what? It worked. It changed the entire automotive industry forever. But here's the thing. The Prius wasn't just some lucky fluke. It wasn't a one-off. It really signaled that Toyota was willing to bet big on the future. And that brings us to their next gamble, betting on hydrogen. So say hello to the Toyota Mirai. Now, Mirai actually means future in Japanese, and that name is no accident. This car is essentially Toyota's modern-day Prius. It's another bold, really expensive bet on a hydrogen fuel cell future, a future that, by the way, a lot of their competitors have already given up on. And that brings us right up to today and to what is probably Toyota's most controversial strategy yet. See, while it feels like the rest of the car world is in an all-out sprint towards fully electric vehicles, Toyota is doing something different. They're not going all in on EVs. Instead, they have this 2050 multi-pathway vision. So what does that even mean? Well, Toyota's logic is pretty simple. They don't believe there's one single silver bullet for the future. They see three valid paths. You've got your battery electric vehicles, right? Great, zero tailpipe emissions, but they have issues with long charging times and where all those battery materials come from. Then you have hybrids, which are awesome for getting rid of range anxiety, but they do still burn gas. And finally, you have hydrogen, which gives you super fast refueling and great range, but good luck finding a station to fill up at. So, Toyota's big bet is that the future doesn't belong to just one of these. It needs all of them. So, what's the big picture here? What does this all add up to? Well, Toyota's vision for 2050 isn't a future where everyone drives the same kind of car. It's a whole transportation ecosystem, a diverse mix of EVs, hybrids, and hydrogen vehicles all working together, powered by different energy sources. The end goal is to create a system that's sustainable, that's accessible to everybody, and that eventually leads to total autonomous mobility. It's a massive vision. And all of this leaves us with one huge, fascinating question. In this incredibly high-stakes race to define the future of how we all get around, is Toyota's patient, multi-pathway strategy a brilliant masterstroke from a company that's famous for playing the long game? Or is it a massive, historic mistake that will see the king of reliability get left